Hello everybody, my name is Jose and this is Jose Goes Electric, and I hope that you can follow me in my journey of owning a 2023 Chevy Bolt EV 1LT in this video and in this channel. For this video, we're going to talk about 4 things that you need to consider before you purchase an electric vehicle, whether it's a Tesla or a non-Tesla. So let's begin. The first thing to consider are the possible and probable savings that you're going to have from switching from a gas vehicle to an electric vehicle. And I think that Tesla does this in a very kind of deceptive way in their website. Whenever you go and look at a vehicle, they show the possible savings, possible price after savings. And I don't think this should be done, because this might not be accurate, especially because they consider 4 things, or they assume 4 things when doing these savings. The first of all, they assume the price of electricity that you're paying, they assume the price of gas that you are paying, they assume how much to drive, and they assume the efficiency of the gas vehicle that you're currently driving, which I think that that's okay to do, because 28 miles per gallon, I think it's a very accurate thing, more or less. But there's different places, of course, where you live. Everybody's different. Where you live, electricity prices might be cheaper than what I pay, or gas prices might be more expensive than what I pay. I live in South Texas by the border, near a town called McAllen, and I pay about 19 cents per kilowatt hour. And as of today, March 16th, the average price for a gallon of gas is $2.90, even though I think I pumped gas yesterday for my 2022 Ford Maverick for about $2.85. So, for example, I'm going to give you my situation. Again, I pay about 19 cents per kilowatt hour, and I've seen some videos, or I saw a video a couple of days ago with a guy from New Jersey that says that they pay 6 cents per kilowatt hour. That would be amazing. But don't be misled about how much you think you're paying for kilowatt hour. The best way to do this is just to get the total amount that you paid, let's say last month, the last electric bill. Make sure that you don't include any late fees if you have any of those, and just divide that total amount by the amount of kilowatt hours that you used. For example, if you paid $200 and you used 1,000 kilowatt hours, that means that you're paying 20 cents per kilowatt hour. Or you pay $100 and you used 1,000 kilowatt hours, that means that you're paying 10 cents per kilowatt hour. That's the best way to do it. Things are different in different places, especially in Texas. So that's something for you to consider, how much you pay for electricity. So in my case, this 2023 Chevy Bolt EV 1LT is going to be driven 300 miles per week. A daily commute of 50 miles for 6 days a week. That's about 300 miles. Considering that the EPA range for this car is 259 miles per full charge, or for the 65 kilowatt hours that the battery can hold. I would need to fill the battery 1.2 times to get me about 78 kilowatt hours. Now, if we consider that I pay 19 cents per kilowatt hour, we get, of course, I'm not being exact, but about $15 to use my car 300 miles in 1 week. Now, if we do the calculation for the Chevy Cobalt, which is the car that this Chevy Bolt replaced, that car again gives you about 28 miles per gallon, which means that I would need about 11 gallons per week. At $2.90, it would be about $30 or so, give or take, with the prices of gas, again, here in South Texas where I live. So for me, my real savings will be about $15 per week, which translates to about $750 per year. Now, again, if you get charged a whole lot less for electricity, then you're gonna be saving a whole lot more. If gas is way more expensive where you live at, of course you're gonna save a whole lot more. But my situation, I think that it's not unique, but it's very specific. And I think that of course I need to find a better plan for my electricity bill, and hopefully I can do that. Just to note that some companies give you better rates, or there are plans where the companies give you better rates at night, and they might also help you out with a charger. So that's something to look for. And yes, it's very important for you to look at the savings, just to make sure that you're not being misled as to how much you're gonna be saving, especially because number two, your insurance rates or premiums are gonna go up. No matter what it is, your insurance rates for your electric vehicle will go up. In my case, I'm paying about 60% more for full coverage for my vehicle than I am for my 2022 Ford Maverick. So it is a lot, especially if you're not used to paying that much. For the Cobalt, it was less than half of what I am paying now for this Chevy Bolt. So that's something that you need to consider before you get the car. What you can do is talk to your insurance provider, and let's say you more than likely you're gonna have a VIN number if you're looking at a Bolt, or even at a Tesla. You know, you can just take any other VIN number for that, or VIN, and that way they can give you an estimate of how much you're gonna pay. Something that I think will happen is that, of course, as you drive and you show that you drive very well, especially if you have the little dongle, in my case that State Farm gives you, your rate should go down. Maybe not by that much, but it should go down. So that's something that you need to consider, that you might be saving on gas, but you're gonna pay more per month on your insurance premium. So you need to consider this when or before you purchase a car. Maybe that's something that you don't want to deal with, but that's what's actually gonna happen, I think 95% of the time. Number three, in some states, you are also gonna pay more for your yearly registration. Here in Texas, the registration for an electric vehicle is at least twice of a gas vehicle, and according to the government, it's so that money makes up for the lack of gas taxes that, of course, we don't consume, we don't pay for. So again, that's something that per year you're gonna spend maybe 2 or 3 times the amount that you would spend on your regular car, or in my case, what I will spend on my 2022 Ford Maverick. The fourth thing that you need to look at is how you plan on charging your electric vehicle. Now, if you live in an apartment building or an apartment complex, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult, since you're not gonna be able to find plugs as easy as you would if you live in a house. So again, this is easier for people that live in houses, and it is very recommended that you charge your car using level 1 or level 2 as opposed to fast charging it, for a better battery health. So in my case, I've been charging the Chevy Bolt with the regular wall plug. The charger that came with the car has 2 options for level 1 charging, which is 8 amps or 12 amps. 8 amps, which is just plugging it in the wall outlet and plugging it in the car, gives you about almost 3 miles per hour. If you up the amperage, assuming that your circuit or your house is able to be safe, this goes up to about 4 miles per hour, which means that in theory, if you drive a commute of even 30 miles every day, you should be able to replenish that overnight. Almost even if you're doing it in the regular 8 amp, because in 12 hours you can do 36 miles in theory, of course. If you use the 12 amp, that means that you'll be able to replenish 48 miles. Of course, this also Depends on how you're driving your car. If you're getting a good range or not, that's also going to affect. But you do need to use a level 2 charger, which is the one that uses the NEMA 1450 plug, similar to the ones the electric dryers use. And this should be installed by a professional, by a licensed electrician. You need to make sure of this. Right now, I'm trying to get this done with Qmerit, which is the company that GM hires to do the free installation of the charger, even though GM pays up to $1,000. And right now, I'm trying to figure how that's going to work in my house, because again, not all houses are the same. I need my charger in a specific place, and I don't have a garage, which means that the main switch, the main electric panel, is almost 100 feet away from where I want the charger to be. So right now the cost for installation is a little bit too high for me, and I'm trying to figure how that's gonna go. Again, if you have a garage and the main panel is there, it's gonna be way easier, and more than likely you won't need to pay anything extra, again, if you go with GM. Either way, you do need a professional to install it. Make sure that it's up to code, and you might actually need to get some permits from maybe the city, maybe the county. So you need to make sure that you do the correct stuff. Again, number 4, you need to know how you're going to charge your car. You're not going to be able to find chargers that easily. That is something that I might struggle with for the time being. But if you don't have a long commute per day, you should be able to just plug it in safely into the wall, plug it into your car, and replenishing those miles that you use per day. And again, it's recommended that you don't charge more than 80% on your daily routine or your regular commutes for a better battery health. So again, make sure that you know how you're going to charge your car. If you're able to plug anything outside of your house, if you don't have a garage, and if you have a garage, make sure that everything is well done so that you can get a professional to install the NEMA 1450 so you can take advantage of the faster charging rates with the NEMA 1415 plug. That gives you about, I think it should be about 3 times, at the very least, about 12-15 miles per hour, which again is great even if you have long commutes. That way you don't have to worry about plugging it every single day, even though it should be fine. But that way you don't have to worry about that. So let's recap of the 4 things that you should think about before buying an electric vehicle. The first one is check on your savings. Check on how much your electricity costs per kilowatt hour. Check how much the average price for gas is where you live. Do your calculations based on how much you in average drive per week, and that way you can see the savings. Maybe you're gonna save hopefully more than me, more than $15 per week. Maybe it's gonna be less, but more than likely it's gonna be more, especially because the electricity prices might be cheaper where you're at. Number 2, your insurance premiums will go up. More than likely, 95% sure they will go up, and considerably. Again, I'm paying at least 60% more in my Chevy Bolt than my 2022 Ford Maverick. And they're new cars. They both have the full coverage, so it shouldn't be that much, but of course it is. So you're gonna pay more for insurance premiums. Number 3, your yearly state registration will be higher or might be higher. At least in Texas it will be, or it is already. So you should consider that once you are thinking about the electric vehicle. And number 4, you need to know how you plan on charging the car, making sure that adding the NEMA 1415 charger or plug, whatever you think it's appropriate, it's gonna be cost effective for you. And don't forget to consider that chargers cost money, especially if you don't buy a Chevy Bolt or any other electric vehicle more than likely a non-Tesla that will give you a free charger. So those are the 4 things that you should consider at the very least when trying to decide whether you should get an electric vehicle or not. If you agree with this or disagree or have more questions, make sure to leave them in the comments. I do want to thank you for watching this video, liking and subscribing. We'll have a new video coming soon. And until then, stay safe. Thank you.